Welcome back. Today we're working on Butterick 6453, a pattern from the Gertie line from several years ago. I've had this pattern in my stash for quite a long time, and now that we're in the hottest days of the year, it seems like the perfect time to put it together. So let's get started. Starting out the spaghetti strap dress project, this is going to go very similarly to the others that I have done so far, where I have, instead of facings, I have a full lining on the bodice. So for the front, this is the front center bodice, two sides, and then we have the two back pieces. And of course, the straps will go up top here. So the plan is to sew the bodice together first, and then I will sew the back to the sides, and I will repeat the process over again for the lining, and then we will attach the straps. So we'll get to the straps here in just a minute. With the bodice put together, the next step that I'm going to work on is the skirt. I like to put pockets into all of the dresses that I have, or at least the ones that I know can handle the weight of a pocket and whatever you put into your pockets. So this is how I set this up. So this is obviously the front of the skirt. The pockets face in, and I'll run a line of stitching down each side. And then for the back pieces, it's very similar. So this is one side, and then the other side right here. All right, so line of stitching down this side again. Once that's done, this gets turned out, pressed, and then another line of stitching. Then I will put the skirt together and walk you through that step as well. I'm going to demonstrate one of the pockets, and then go ahead and speed up through the next one. Obviously it's the same thing twice, but this is the top of the skirt, the side seam. And no, I'm not trimming my threads away in between. I'm going to do all that at the same time. Okay, so now we're down right inside of this pocket top stitching. So I'm roughly a quarter of an inch in. I'm going to lift the foot and pivot this around and close the pocket in. So now I'm coming to this spot here where the bottom of the pocket meets the side of the skirt. So here, this is a really good idea to do some back stitching, because because this is a stress point, especially if you carry things in your pockets like your phone, your keys, something heavy that can put stress onto that seam. Doing a bar tack here isn't a bad idea. Alright, so I've gone through this twice. And I'm just going to line it up so I can do a bar tack. So that's done. Now I'm going to pivot and just go straight down the side of the skirt. Here's a closer look at the bar tack. Believe me, you'll appreciate doing this extra step down the road, especially if you have, this is a very lightweight cotton. I mean, look, you can see my hand through it. So super lightweight cotton, and when I put my phone in this, it's just gonna, it's gonna pull on this seam here. So you can do it, not do it, but it's definitely worth the extra step there. Here's what it looks like once the pockets are put on. So front of the skirt. So you can see. Now, what I am going to do is lay the pieces on top to be sewn together to complete the skirt. So here is one of the backs. This one's going to go on this side. Obviously, going to line these pieces up here and line the pockets up. So this will get sewn top, over, down and around, and then down the skirt. Pockets can be tricky when you first try them, but once you have done them, I don't know, half a dozen or a dozen times, they come as second nature, just as anything you do with practice. So I'm going to line these up and go ahead and stick this onto the machine and get this finished up. For the next step, I am going to do a gathered skirt. I prefer pleated skirts. I just like how they lay on me better. However, I do want to try the gathered skirt on this particular pattern. I like how it looks on the pattern cover, so I'm hoping that I'm gonna like it just as much on me. So for this next step, I am going to use the floss method, and I've covered this before, but of course it's been a long time ago. So I'm gonna go over that with you step by step here and show you it's so much simpler to actually gather a skirt this way than it is to do it with just a running stitch. For this step, you just need some cheap floss. It doesn't have to be mint. So I am going to start obviously at the very end of the skirt. You want to set your machine for the zigzag stitch. I have mine set at 5 millimeters in length, and 5 millimeters wide and 2 millimeters in length. Pull out a good bit to start. There's no way to show you how much this is. It's quite a lot. Alright, so I get started here. And what you're going to want to do is you don't want to pull out too much at a time. Just pull out, what you think you might need, because you probably have to pull more in the end. But let's see if I can get this a little closer to show you. So what you want is for your floss to line up with the middle of your foot. because then your needle is going to go back and forth over top of the floss, and you're going to be able to pull this floss to actually gather the skirt. So I'm going to do that. Let me reset this and I will show you how it's done. Okay, I actually ended up going a little bit wider, so you don't want it to be too wide, but you do want it to be wide enough that you're not going to catch the floss, because that defeats the point. So you can see it's just going back and forth over top of the floss. So you're going to do this for the entire skirt, and then we're going to gather it. The floss is all in, so you can see here's one end, here's the other end. Pretty simple concept. So then you're just gonna start pulling this and start gathering. And this is all you have to do. And then you're gonna ease it into the bodice pieces and just work it in how you want to. I'm going to set the skirt aside for now and finish up the last part of the bodice, which is to do the straps. So 2 strap pieces and 2 loop pieces. So these will get looped into the back. And then I have the rings that they will attach to. So these are going to get folded in half and then stitched, and probably gonna do about a 1/4 inch seam on this one, and then I will use a pin. Just use a safety pin on the end and just work it inside out. One important thing I want to note is that once you sew your pieces, you should trim them down. It makes it easier to turn it right side out. So I've just attached this little safety pin at the end, and I'm just gonna push this down through the channel. And with the bigger one, it's gonna be a little bit more tricky to try to work it out, but that's just how it is with these things. If you don't want to deal with this, another option is to just fold your pieces so that you would do a top stitch. I almost did that, but I felt like I needed to do it this way the first time. As you can see, it's starting to work its way through. Gotta work it down and out. And I'm not gonna make this 20 minutes long doing this. Getting into the home stretch here. So the straps are done. Rings and sliders are on. They have been pinned in place to the front of the bodice. So I will sew from here over, and here over first, and then fix the back of the strap in here, and then finish sewing everything together so that when I turn it right side out, everything will be cleanly finished and ready to go. Bodice is complete, and I did a fit check, ended up taking about an inch off of each side. Not gonna add any shaping through the body of this. I just like how it sits without. So you can see it actually isn't too bad with the straps. Okay, now I'm going to attach the skirt, and then I will do the zipper, and this one will be wrapped up. Last step, put this zipper in. So because I have fully lined this bodice, there's this outside and the inside. So what I'm gonna do here is open this all the way up. So here's the seam. Open this up, take my zipper, and lay it down. This is how I do it every time. I'm sure other people have different ways of doing this. Lay my zipper down so that I'm gonna start a little ways down here. Just gonna get this attached. So it's on. Now I can unzip it a little bit. All right. So now where it meets, where the front and the back, well, where the lining and the outer meet, I'm gonna take this piece, take the top of the zipper, fold it over. So I'm going to fold it over so it's like that. And then I am going to fold this on top, and I'm going to stitch that down. It's not really that easy to try to film this. Get it close enough. To just use a hand crank for the top, just in case. All right, so pull that tight. Okay, so when I get down to where the waist is, I'm gonna take my lining and fold it up, because when I've done everything else, I will tack this down on the inside by hand. And then obviously I'll put the zipper in the rest of the way. I just like to get through this part first. So what I do to make sure that this lines up with the other side is I always take the waist seam in a dress I'm making, and I match up the waist seams so that I know they're not going to be off. So then I will go up, do a couple of tacks here, then start at the top and work my way down.